I've put in a thing that's called a swale. It's a water harvesting ditch that runs across the contour of the slope. Not only am I water positive because the swale puts more water back than I use, the well makes me water secure. Paros is not like Australia. Like Australia's pretty tough climate, but Paros is tougher. There's an eco-cycle. This is the water cycle. You have a natural flow where you get evaporation that goes into clouds. Clouds produce rain. That rain comes down and this cycle happens. To stop that water running away into the ocean and creating all sorts of erosion problems, there's trees and grasses and all sorts of ground covers that are green that have root systems that act as a sponge to absorb that moisture. I'm rubbing the water against as many surfaces as I can and using it over and over. So it has many uses before it leaves my property. Even my road is a water harvesting system. My garden here is a water harvesting system. So all the systems that I've put in are circling purely around water and then designed to minimize my work and maximize my yield. As you walk along, you can see these raised edges. These are small water harvesting features. Their job is, as the water runs down the road, it then flows into here, and aesthetically I've made it wider going narrower so it gives it the illusion of depth. So the water runs along here, sits against the edge, fills the tree, and then it goes to the next tree and the next tree, and then it spills off onto the next level and does all the trees. Look at the amount of olives I've got. That little mound is the thing responsible for filling my well. This is the one. It actually winds around. It's over 50 metres long. This is a hugelkultur bed. It is full of biological material, so that's a sponge. Trees, especially big ones, when the wind blows through them, they negatively charge the ions in the air, so they ionise the air. And that moisture and ionisation and charge creates seeding. It seeds the clouds and makes it rain. For example, the eucalyptus, which has a bad reputation for hogging water, transpires that water that it mines, cracks the ground, brings the minerals up, and it transpires that water into the atmosphere. The cycle is that climate change is not so much heating up, but more increased weather events. So we have much stronger rain events. We have much hotter dry. We were over 60 degrees on the ground just there in my garden for 6 weeks straight. That's a heat wave. That destroys crops. I began to realise that Paros is not like Australia. Like Australia's pretty tough climate, but Paros is tougher. I've put in a thing that's called a swale. It's a water harvesting ditch. So if you have a slope, it's a ditch that runs across the contour of the slope. So my ditch is 2 metres wide. It's massive. The water that flows off the top road, which comes down the street from the mountaintops, so it flows down the road into the land, comes down here into the swale, and it sits here. And it passively just soaks into the ground, which is then recharging the aquifer of the island. This one holds 70 cubic metres of water when it's full. And a week after I'd built it, I'd planted my cover crop seeds, and it rained, and within 1 week it filled. And it filled up to my spillway level, or my overflow pipes up here. I now had a swale that is full of water, which is this deep, 27 centimetres. So the water fills in there, but I had no vegetation, raw earth without anything to stitch it together. And I was panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, if this thing collapses, I lose 70 tonne of water. You know, that could be a problem. So I siphoned it and I took the water out. And in my first year, where the rain wasn't its highest, I dumped the water 4 times. I dumped 280 tonne of water away. Just went down the way it always goes and always has through millennia. down the river, down into the ocean. Now I soak it into the ground to recharge the aquifer, and that makes this land water positive. I use less water than this puts back. You really need to see my water slowing system up the front. It is the thing that controls the water flow, and if I get a 200-year flood, it stops the water flooding in. I have a pipe put into my wall that captures the water that flows down. It then goes into 3 civil pipes and a level sill spillway. This level sill is this much higher, 50 mil, higher than the road. So when the water level fills this up, it will backflood when it's hit the capacity of all my pipes. So if I've got my pipe swiveled down to let the water go through into my swale, which is 100 metres away, then the capacity is these 2 pipes. If it exceeds that capacity, it fills and floods back. It'll limit the amount of flow without any electricity. If I turn this one down, I then flood into here, top flood my paddock, put water into this hugelkultur bed, and that water then soaks into the ground, rehydrating this ground, which goes and fills my well. Now, not only am I water positive because the swale puts more water back than I use, the well makes me water secure. This is not soil, this is sieved rock. That's basically all it is. Here, to plant a tree, I need a pick and a jackhammer. A shovel doesn't work. To actually dig anything, I've been smashing up the tip of a big sledgehammer because all I break through is rock. So to plant a tree is a major, major problem. Unless you're in a valley, because I have people here come to me and go, I've got no problem. I plant my trees and they grow, and I'm going, you're in a valley, aren't you? In the 50 years this block was left alone, untouched, there was no cultivation, no soil degradation from man's activities. Only the first generation of pioneer bushes came up. They're thorny, they're nasty, they catch fire in summer, etc. But this has a job. All weeds do something for the environment. They're a healing plant. When the wind blows over it, then the airborne nutrients, like from Africa, we've got their dust and the topsoil blows over, it slows it and drops it. So now we're actually gathering soil. Any seeds that are in the atmosphere drop in here, and that comes down into the bottom, and I don't know if I can, not with bare hands, but this is now biologically rich ground and produces soil. I'm now utilising all the food scraps that I have and turning that into food. I dump my waste into the worms. The worms then digest it, spread it through my garden, fertilise my garden, put water into my garden, and then they turn their waste into food for the plants that becomes food for me. I create an eco-cycle. This is my worm farm. This bucket here is worm tea, and that worm tea then goes into this barrel, and then I just turn a tap on, connect my hose, water everything with the worm tea, so I'm putting biologically rich material and inoculants on my trees. I have no water problems because I'm putting water back, and I can teach how to do it, and I show it on my page. Costa's creating sustainability, and I want to make that the norm here so more people can do it.